There's a new collectible company in town, and today I'm going to give you my thoughts on Thrilljoy and if it's something that we plan on collecting. Here we go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So Joanna and I just got back from New York ComicCon, and a big topic of conversation at New York ComicCon, believe it or not, was this new company called Thrilljoy that has been recently launched by Brian Mariotti. Now, if that name sounds familiar...
Hey, I'm Brian Mariotti. I'm the CEO of Funko.
And he actually co-founded the company with Mike Becker. So he was at Funko for a long time before now he has made the leap to start up another collectible company. Now, Joanna and I were pretty surprised to see the level of hype at New York ComicCon for Thrilljoy. Obviously, every single year at New York ComicCon, the Funko booth is packed. And even though this year's catalog was okay, I was actually surprised that it was still super packed. People were waiting hours upon hours in line to get all the new pops and all the new items that were released, but we were very surprised to see the amount of people that were waiting over at the Thrilljoy booth. Now, this could be because people just are curious, they want to see what's going on, but nonetheless, there was a lot of hype for this new Thrilljoy company, and I want to break down a couple quick thoughts here. Seeing them launch at New York ComicCon and now coming home and kind of seeing everybody else in the community talk about them, as there's been a lot of influencers who have showcased their products and have put their thoughts out there, so a lot of people have asked us, so that's why I'm putting my thoughts out there as well. So, the first thing that I want to mention here is at New York ComicCon, at the booth, there are 3 official products so far that Thrilljoy has announced and launched. So there is their regular Pix figures, which are in pretty big boxes, and then you have their Mega Pix, which are coming soon. They're the larger standalone figures, and then they also had their line of apparel, which most of their apparel was available at the booth, at least throughout a majority of the con. Now, we did go over to the booth at one point. We were trying to get the regular Blue figure. Blue is Thrilljoy's official mascot. We were hoping to get the Pix version of his figure. Unfortunately, when we went to the booth, I believe it was Thursday afternoon, they were already sold out. Now, keep this in mind as we go forward here. That blue figure was limited to 3,000 pieces. It's actually currently available on their website, so we could buy it right now if we wanted to. It does have a really cool gold chase, but we were kind of hoping to pick it up at New York ComicCon just to be part of the hype, part of the event. I wanted to see, what everybody was talking about. I just wanted to hold one in my hands. Thankfully, thanks to a lot of other people there at New York ComicCon, I was able to take a look at these Pix figures, see the other ones that people had already purchased, so I kind of got my experience and hands-on moment there. So we did talk to one of the employees at the Thrilljoy booth, and she said they were specifically only allotting a few of the blue figures out each day. I'm guessing to keep up the hype, because they noticed on Thursday that blue sold out very quickly. So then, of course, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're only going to leak out a few of the blue figures and then go, oh, at 9 o'clock, oh, it's sold out. So then it forces people to then the next day at New York ComicCon either go directly to Thrilljoy first or just, they have to rush over at some point to try to get it. But nonetheless, they did not sell out all 3,000 pieces, as that specific figure is currently available on their website. Now, let's talk about price, because I feel like price point is one of the most important things when you're talking about any collectible, not just Funko. And the reason is everybody has different levels of disposable income. We all live on different budgets, so it is a very important thing to mention, and unfortunately, the price point here with the Pix figures from Thrilljoy is a little bit on the higher side, coming in at $50. And I think right there, unfortunately, that's going to scare away a portion of collectors who may be interested in collecting Thrilljoy, because $50 is pretty expensive nowadays. If you think about going out and grabbing a $50 pop, I would venture to say that most of you guys are not buying a $50 pop every single day, maybe not every single week. Heck, maybe you're only buying a $50 pop once a month, and that's completely okay. On the other perspective, though, from Thrilljoy's side, as a business standpoint, charging $50 for this product is not necessarily the worst thing in the world for 2 reasons. This is a higher quality figure and display case. This is not just a pop box where you have the box and the figure and the sticker on the front. They actually designed something that's of a higher quality collectible. And specifically for the Pix figures, you have your figure, it's in a smaller case, and then that is actually in a bigger magnetically closed lid case. And on top of that, you also have a card that tells you that this figure is certified authentic by Thrilljoy. So there's multiple components to your $50 figure. It's not just a standard pop in a box. So from that perspective, I think it's actually okay that they charge the $50 because it is higher quality. You're getting more bang for your buck. On the other side, though, if you think about it from the Funko perspective, from Thrilljoy's point of view, they could actually still charge at $50 because think about how many hundreds, if not thousands of Funko Pops that are worth $50 or more currently on the aftermarket. So clearly, there is a lot of people out there, myself included, that are willing to pay $50 or more for a product that they feel, or that I feel is worthy of being in my collection. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. The other thing that I wanted to talk about here that surprised us at New York Comic-Con was the amount of SKUs, the amount of products that were launched at the booth, specifically with the Pix figures. When Joanna and I went into the booth trying to get blue, they gave us a sheet with all the different figures that you could pick from, and we were kind of overwhelmed. We did not expect them to have that many options. I was actually thinking a couple days leading up to the con that they were only going to have the blue figure, and that was just going to be the only character that they were going to be launching at New York Comic-Con, but clearly they have a lot of licenses already. They have a lot of characters that you guys probably recognize, like Beetlejuice and Leonardo and Skeletor, so they're clearly going all out, and rumor is that they're going to be launching a lot of other licensed characters very soon. Next up, I want to talk about arguably the second most important issue when it comes to any collectible, and that is space. These Pix figures, I'm not even getting into the Mega Pix yet, talking about the regular Pix figures, these take up quite a bit of space. In fact, upon seeing it in person and kind of comparing it to a Funko Pop, these roughly take up 3.5 times more space than one pop, which makes sense because one pop is about $15, multiply it by 3, it's $45, you're very close to that $50 price point. So the amount of money you're spending is about the same for the space that the product is going to take up. However, I think a lot of people in the Funko community, or I know a lot of people in the Funko community over the last year and a half, space has been their number one problem. So that is another reason why I was surprised to see so many people at the Thrilljoy booth at New York Comic-Con, because these giant Pix figures don't necessarily match what everybody's complaining about. Now, I did see some people lugging 3 or 4 of these around in their giant Thrilljoy bags, and I could see that they were struggling. And I think because these Pix figures take up so much space, even though they're cool, when you take them out of their giant packaging, you can actually stack them. I've seen several other creators showcase how you can not only stack them on a shelf, but you can actually hang them up on the wall. So there's some cool display options here, but I think that sizing is just going to scare away a lot of people. Now let's talk about, very briefly, aesthetics. How does the product actually look? In my opinion, I am not sold on how this product looks and if it's something that I am going to be collecting many of. Now, I do really like some features of how they've gone about this. I think that for the most part, if you look really closely, they've kind of just taken the concept of a Funko Pop and made it a little bit bigger and a little bit higher quality. So one of the things that Brian Mariotti, I heard him mention several times at the booth that they're very proud of, is they're not using stickers. They're using a raised rubber stamp on the front of the box, and that's where the LE number or the Chase logo actually goes. So they're not using stickers, so that's fine. I think the figures look okay. I don't think they are anything special. I think they look very similar to that of a Funko Pop, maybe just with a very proportioned body, whereas Funko Pops, they have a little bit of a larger head, obviously, with the smaller body. These are well-proportioned figures. You can actually take these figures out of their packaging and put them on display, so I like that. But I just don't see myself collecting these because of that outer packaging. I don't really feel like I have a use for that. I like taking my Pops out of box, making cool displays with them, by themselves and such. So from an aesthetic standpoint, I think it looks nice, but not nice enough for me to go out and buy multiples of these. Now, let's talk about limited edition variants. Now, from this perspective, Thrilljoy came out swinging. They are hitting this out of the park with their limited edition variants. So some of their figures that they released at New York Comic-Con have chases. Now, everybody always loves chases. I feel like that's one of the reasons why so many collectors from the Funko community gravitated towards sodas, because sodas are very exciting. Blind packaging with the chase. They did something similar where you were actually given the Pix figure at New York Comic-Con in a blind sorter box. So everybody was getting excited, you know, opening up their figures, hoping that they had the chase. I mentioned Blue, for instance, had that really cool gold chase, but they also did something that they're definitely taking a page right out of Funko's book with. Number one, they are doing 1 out of 6 chases, which, to Joanna's credit, she immediately looked at me when we heard that they were doing 1 out of 6 chases, and she was like, really? They couldn't mix it up a little bit? They couldn't do like 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 8 or 1 out of 3? Like, they had to copy Funko's original formula to a T with the 1 out of 6, but hey, that's how they're doing it. The other thing that they're kind of ripping off Funko, but I don't know if you can say ripping off Funko because it's from the 2 founders of Funko, so they're kind of just taking their old ideas and then recycling it into a new company. They actually have 24-piece variants for some of the figures, aka their Ultra Chases. And now some people over the weekend on Whatnot and other people that went to the booth, they were lucky enough to get some of these 24-piece Ultra Chases. And I want to show you guys one of the ones that I found that I think is very cool. So the Duck Dodgers picks. This one is one of the ones that actually has not only a chase variant, but a 24-piece variant. And unfortunately, we are at a time with Funko where you're not going to be able to go up to the booth. I actually don't think you were ever able to go up to the Funko booth at New York Comic-Con and buy something and potentially get a 24-piece item. So that right there is going to draw in a lot of hype. So if Thrilljoy continues to make figures with these ultra rare chases, they are going to draw in a big crowd and a lot of people willing to pay money to get those very limited variants in their collection. The other thing that I will say in regards to the 24-piece chases, especially in the case of Duck Dodgers here, it's actually a completely different mold, which I really appreciate. It's not just Duck Dodgers as a different color. For this specific version, it's the Martian Queen. And that by itself looks really cool. So I could definitely see this 24-piece demanding a lot of money on the aftermarket moving forward, just because Thrilljoy went the extra mile to make it very unique and very special. So from that aspect, I really like it. Now, really briefly, let's talk about Blue. So Blue is essentially Thrilljoy's Freddy. And as soon as I saw Blue with the peace sign, I was like, really? They couldn't give him any other mold? He has to look exactly like Freddy making the peace sign, because if you guys have been in the Funko community long enough, you will know that, you know, obviously they've done a lot of sodas with Freddy making the peace sign. It's kind of like that classic Freddy mold now that they've just overdone. So I think we have figured out where it came from. Maybe it was Brian Mariotti's original idea. Now, as far as Blue, I really like the character. It looks like a mashup of Freddy, Bumble, and a Chomp, but I like it. It looks cool, and I was actually hoping to see more original Thrilljoy characters alongside Blue, and thanks to an interview done by Funko James,
the reception's been great. Blue's got a couple buddies that we'll be introducing pretty soon, but yeah, it's been nice to see the reception for Blue.
So you guys should definitely go follow him over on Instagram. He actually interviewed Brian Mariotti at the booth. He was in the process of interviewing him as we were leaving, and I caught the rest of his interview on Instagram, and Brian Mariotti actually dropped a teaser saying that they will be launching more original characters alongside Blue to be friends with him, which I think is great, because I think right now a lot of collectors are a little bit IP'd out, where they're just kind of over collecting licensed figures, because at the end of the day, how many Spider-Mans can you have in your collection? How many Batmans or Deadpools? Like, I think people want to see more original characters and just some more unique designs. Now, the last thing I want to talk about really quick is in regards to Thrilljoy's apparel and their merchandise. They crushed it. Oh my gosh. We saw people rocking the Thrilljoy jerseys. Specifically, Misa's had one that she won at the Thrilljoy panel. And they had shirts and jumpsuits and all kinds of stuff. And Funko should really take a page out of Thrilljoy's booth as far as the merch and the apparel, man. Because I think one of the things that Funko is just leaving so much money on the table with is apparel. The fact that you could only get this shirt at the NYCC booth or at the Funko booth at NYCC is just a crime. There are so many people that I bet would be willing to spend $25 on the official Funko NYCC shirt right from their website. They would just add it to their cart and they would be super happy to get it. So I think Funko really needs to step up their merch game and match that of Thrilljoy's, because they looked great. All the people I saw wearing their stuff, it looked phenomenal. I love the colors. I love the logo. It looked great. And the next big thing that I'm going to say that kind of ties into that is, as a result of Thrilljoy kind of rising up and obviously making a pretty big splash here in the community, I hope that this pushes Funko to be better, that they're going to have to step up their game, because now they have a direct competitor that's going to be trying to get, and they've already gotten quite a few collectors from their consumer base. And you got to remember, if they're charging $50 for one of their picks, that's potentially 3 less pops that same collector is going to purchase from Funko. That's, every time that somebody buys a Thrilljoy shirt or jumpsuit or hoodie or jersey, that's more money that Funko is losing out on. So hopefully the competition will force Funko to make a lot of the changes that we've been wanting to see over the last few years. And ultimately, competition will just benefit the consumer, us being the collectors at the end of the day. Now, moving forward as to what we're going to collect from Thrilljoy. We were lucky enough to get, if you guys saw our haul videos, the 3,000 piece mini blue set here that was actually given out at the Thrilljoy panel. We were not in attendance at the Thrilljoy panel. We were back in our hotel editing videos. But shout out to Your Batman and Misa's. They actually picked this up and they decided to give it to us. And we love it. I love the minis. If they go this route where they actually make all the other characters that they're teasing in mini form, I'm all about it, because I really like this. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to put them on display. This is limited to 3,000 pieces. I necessarily don't care. I'm going to keep the packaging, but I'm going to take these out and put these on display because I really like this. So I think a lot of collectors might be in the same boat where they want smaller items from Thrilljoy. So hopefully Thrilljoy can offer a lot of different products in a lot of different sizes at various different price points. I think if they do that alongside their merch, alongside some limited pieces, maybe throw in a Thrill Days event at a upcoming San Diego Comic-Con, I think Funko might have to be concerned at least a little bit. So I'm curious to see where Thrilljoy is going to go in the future. Guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Will you be collecting any Thrilljoy products? And did you pick anything up already from their website? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and as always, don't stop shooting until you score.